It hits different when the spotlight finds you. In the WNBA, people call it the Caitlin Clark treatment. For a reason. It's not just about dealing with loud crowds and cameras. It's the full package. Traps coming off every ball screen, doubles when you cross half court, physical defenders bodying you off your spots, and no such thing as an easy catch and shoot. It's the reality of being the focal point of opposing game plans every single night. That's the world Caitlin Clark has lived in since her first minute in the league. Pressure-packed, bruising, and relentless. When Paige Bueckers stepped into that same space, fans and media leaned forward. For months, a narrative had been building. She was a polished heir apparent. The next superstar ready to glide into the role destined for her. The one poised to succeed Clark as the face of women's basketball. There were magazine covers, glowing segments, and breathless social clips showing her pure footwork, clean jump shot, and poise. Plenty of folks went further. Paige is better than Caitlin. More efficient, more refined. The next queen. Those words were repeated so often they began to sound like inevitability rather than opinion. Then came the night Seattle turned the dial to WNBA playoff defense and asked the only fair question that matters. Can you do it when we throw the book at you? Before we take that apart, it's worth acknowledging the performance that lit the fuse for all the Paige talk. 44 points against the Los Angeles Sparks, a game where she shot over 80% from the field. That's outrageous by any standard. Scoring 40-plus in the pros is rare. Doing it while barely missing is almost unheard of. Credit where it's due. She was spectacular. Those numbers made the rounds instantly. Clips burned across timelines. The crowd around the Paige is ready conversation swelled. But there's always context in this league. That game came against a defense that gave her space and allowed her to shake free in isolation over and over. She got into her rhythm early and never had to fight through barbed wire to keep it. The truth of the WNBA is that some nights opponents let you breathe. The true test comes when they don't. Seattle had other ideas. Head coach Noel Quinall but notified the world pregame. When it tested the way teams test Caitlin Clark. Be physical. Take away air. Send second defenders early. Make every catch a wrestling match. If she's the star they say she is, she'll handle it. If not, the scoreboard will tell the truth. Once the ball went up, the plan was executed with ruthless precision. Paige wasn't guarded. She was swarmed. Every dribble drew a shadow. Ball screens were blitzed. Driving lanes closed like elevator doors. Slim Wickham bodied her at the arc. Skylar Diggins-Smith cut off angles on the second level. Gabby Williams and Erica Wheeler contested everything within reach. This wasn't one player locking up. This was an organized wall. The numbers that followed told a story the debates couldn't smother. 11 points on 2 of 11 shooting, 0 assists, and 2 rebounds. On a night that had been billed as a coronation after 44 against the Sparks, we got something else entirely. A reality check. The pageantry around the next one went quiet in the face of defense designed to make stars prove it. The smooth, efficient version of Paige disappeared under the weight of the traps. Her rhythm evaporated. By the second half, you could see the hesitation. Half beats that doom possessions at this level. That single night does not define Paige Bueckers as a player, but it did strip away a layer of rhetoric and replace it with evidence. The WNBA is not a highlight reel playground. It is a league built on scouting, toughness, and smart schemes. And when the Caitlin Clark treatment came for Paige, it exposed how steep the learning curve still is. Contrast that with Clark's rookie experience. She walked into a season-long storm and didn't get a courtesy adjustment period. Teams hunted her body. They trapped her touch. They pinned her arms. The targeting became a talking point after a stat leaked that stunned even veteran observers. 17% of all flagrant fouls called in the 2024 WNBA season were committed against Caitlin Clark alone. Whether you take that number as precise or symbolic, the point lands. Night after night, she took a level of physicality rarely seen, especially for a rookie, and she kept coming back for more. Clark's line by season's end reads like something carved out of concrete. Nearly 20 points per game, more than 8 assists, close to 6 rebounds. Those are big numbers on their face, but their real value comes from the context. She produced them against schemes designed to stop her, and only her. Teams tilted entire floors away from her right hand. They sent length over the top after a single dribble. They switched and collapsed when she turned the corner. And still she found ways to score, and more importantly, ways to get her teammates easy baskets. That is not an efficiency trick. That is leadership under fire. This is where the Paige narrative began to crack. On paper, her rookie numbers looked poised to invite a comparison. Just under 20 points, 5 assists, 4 rebounds. But unrolling the box score without admitting how the points were earned and how the possessions were guarded creates a mirage. Efficiency matters. It matters more when it holds up against traps and bodies and tests. Against the Storm. It didn't. That's not a condemnation. It's a calibration. It tells us where she is and what's required to meet the standard the media laid at her feet. Because make no mistake, the impact conversation isn't even close. What Caitlin Clark did in one season wasn't just statistical excellence. It was a seismic shift. The Indiana Fever were coming off lean, quiet years. With Clark, they didn't just sell tickets. They sold out buildings in cities that had never seen a regular season WNBA crowd that size. On the road, every schedule felt like a marquee because it was families drove hours not to see a game, but to see her play. Broadcasters moved games into primetime windows. Ratings followed. Merchandise, too. The Indiana Fever's brand didn't just grow, it ballooned. Resellers listed tickets at prices that once would have sounded absurd for a women's regular season night. That's generational influence, the kind you measure in dollars and in the new faces in the stands. Now look at the Dallas Wings since the draft named Paige their cornerstone. The franchise gave her runway. The arena wasn't empty, but it wasn't overwhelmed. The team looked like a work in progress, which is normal for a rookie-led unit. But none of that structure validated the breathless promise that she was already an equal to Clark. It's not about whether Paige moved the needle. It's about whether the needle moved anywhere near what it had for Caitlin. And the answer is plain. It did not. This is the part where the word manufactured creeps into the conversation. Did the media create a rivalry that didn't exist yet? Crowning successors makes for easy content. The storyline is tidy. The best player in women's college hoops exits. Another star arrives. The baton passes. All is right with the world. Except the WNBA doesn't honor storylines. It exposes them. Clark forced herself through that gauntlet in a single season. She took the bruises and the boos and the unending defensive attention and still dragged the Fever out of the basement and into relevance. Paige has to walk that same path. No one gets ushered to the front of this league because a headline said so. Seattle's game plan laid the difference bare. The Storm didn't just guard Paige. They re-engineered the floor every time she touched the ball. Their blueprint mirrored what teams have done to Clark for over a year. Send bodies early, shrink space when she dribbles into the middle, swipe from the blind side as soon as she turns her back, and dare the officials to blow the whistle often enough to dissuade you. It was a trial by fire. Paige has the talent to pass it over time. That night, she didn't. The important part is what comes next. Does she learn where the pressure will come from and hammer the pass before it arrives? Does she learn to secure the catch with a shoulder before she turns? Does she set her man up 2 counts earlier, so the trap arrives when help is still on the weak side? Those are the advanced questions. Answer them, and you stop being a target. You start being a problem. The Caitlin Clark discourse draws strong feelings because her presence changed the sport in ways that stretch far beyond basketball operations. Ask arena workers how many staff they needed for Fever games before and after. Ask security managers who had to build new checkout lines for jersey sales. Ask broadcasters who didn't need to trim highlights because the slot got longer. Ask young girls who only knew the NBA whether they can name WNBA teams now. If you love women's basketball, these aren't arguments. They're gifts. Clark didn't invent the league's excellence. She mainstreamed it. She cracked doors that other stars have been pushing against for years. Aya Wilson, Brianna Stewart, Sabrina Ionescu. The W had so many elite names before she arrived. Clark helped everyone else get seen. That's a big part of what generational means. The numbers around Clark's impact were startling even before a logo or a shoe attached itself to her name. Ticket sales surged across the entire WNBA schedule once the draft made Indiana a traveling attraction. Ratings jumped with her. Merch stores sold out in hours. By summer, it was common to watch a Tuesday night game with the noise of a Saturday playoff. And the most telling metric, the one that matters more than any trending topic, is the composition of the crowd. Families who'd never felt invited into this space before. That isn't just good business. It's the seed of a generational fan base. So why did the Paige narrative persist? Because the sport is hungry. Women's basketball isn't looking for the next Caitlin Clark in order to replace her. It's looking for more stars because a league grows faster when its brightest lights share the sky. The mistake wasn't hoping Paige could be great. The mistake was promoting the story that she already was, that she would glide into all the roles Clark had bulldozed her way into, as if the grind wouldn't touch her. That's how you write checks players have to cash with their bodies. The date that was meant to be a coronation became something else. August 22nd, 2025. Won't be remembered as the night the heir took her throne. It will be remembered as the evening a fan base saw through a narrative and embraced a harder truth. There isn't a next Caitlin Clark. There is Caitlin Clark. Then there are other extraordinary women, Paige included, who must become themselves completely before the league will accept them as pillars. That doesn't diminish Paige Bueckers' talent. She is as smooth a scorer as you'll find, with a mid-range rhythm that feels pre-programmed, a jumper that keeps its line under stress, and court vision that will only expand as she learns how to break pressure earlier. She is going to win games in this league and lose sleep for defenders for a long time. The right lesson from Seattle isn't that she can't do it. It's that she hasn't done it yet. It's also worth acknowledging what Seattle reminded the whole sport. Defense still rules the WNBA. If you want to join Clark atop the sport, and yes, that's where she is, not by editorial decree, but by impact, you must solve schemes designed specifically to deny you your favorite angles. Teams will lay traps and live with the risks. They will make you extend yourself mentally and physically and see if there's anything left in the tank when you reach the fourth quarter. For Caitlin, that treatment started on night one and hasn't eased. For Paige, it arrived in Seattle. The test is repeatable, and so are adjustments. Until then, context should quiet the loudest takes. Greatness here isn't a headline. It's an accumulation. It's 1,000 choices in 2-point-something seconds that turn a trap into a bucket. It's taking hits that would shake confidence and choosing to go right back into the space you were just knocked out of. It's carrying a franchise in a league, not because you asked to, but because your presence requires you to. That's where Caitlin Clark lives. That's where Paige Bueckers is headed, if she learns how to live with the discomfort. The casual fan will ask the easiest version of the question. Did Seattle expose a fraud? The sober answer is more interesting. Seattle exposed a narrative. They didn't reveal that Paige can't play. They revealed that she was being asked to be something she hadn't earned yet. The hype around her 44-point night didn't become less impressive because the defense was soft. It became less instructive. You don't crown anyone after a perfect night. You crown them after surviving the nights where nothing is easy and all the help has turned back. Caitlin Clark will not stop getting doubled. She will not stop getting hit on drives. She will not get rookie calls. She will not get rest on the road. And yet she stays who she is, an offensive engine whose passing is as dangerous as her range, whose tempo can still tilt a game against a scheme that knows what's coming. That is why she is the most important player in the WNBA right now. That is why arenas sell out. That is why networks bid on rights with a fresh ferocity. That is why brands position their campaigns around her. Some stars get big because they produce. The biggest stars get big because they change the math for everyone around them.